Answering to your question, that is, we need to determine first who is threat and who is threatened, right? And currently, what we see in the colonizer in the past were a threat, and the colonized ones threatened. Now, the same colonization shifted to post-colonial era, and post-colonial era has shifted to new colonialism. That is a new structure of colonization. I would call it like globalization, you may call it, or recolonization, you may call it. It is a new formation of the colonization that is colonizing the economies, not occupying the areas, but colonizing the economies. That is new colonialism. So, what could be suggested? That is power politics. This construction, certainly these colonizers who are currently leading, who are currently in power, they are not threatened even in 21st century. And who, like the areas in the Middle East or in Afghanistan, or the refugees coming from or in Africa, their economies, if they are not threatened by, like in some way they are threatened in Syria and Libya and there is civil war, how that civil war like started. That is also exported from those colonizers to their land, right? So that is the power politics. The same colonizers, global colonizers, the economic or new colonizers, you would say, with new colonialism ideology, with new world map, they have created that instability in their areas. And so still they are threatened, right? So what is needed by the, we can just suggest humanity for human sake to consider at least the people who are flying from that area, to give them a little space. Yesterday, Zia Ahmed talked about new spaces. We need to create new spaces. As I have said, no one, like the affiliation, the connection to the homeland, that is there. If they'd be no more threatened in their homelands, if their economies would be no more colonized, if they would have got good chance, like for their finances or for their poverty to heal the wounds, certainly they would prefer to get back to their lands. But since that possibility is not yet visible to the world, so we need to create a little space to breathe at least to the areas who are actually exploiting others' economies. So that is, like, suggestion could be suggestion. Displacement is not at all the choice of anybody, cannot be. Cannot be. Malala Yousafzai has said that. And the disconnectivity and disinterestedness, as I talked about Nadia when she was there, and there is a long dialogue in my paper, if you would allow me to read that. Hamid says, like, there is a dialogue between Nadia and Said. Said wants to shift into the house where there are other country holders, but she is no more in connection with the native people. Why would we want to move, she said, to be among our own kind? Said answered, what makes them our kind? That is the question. They are from our country, from the country we used to be from. Yes, Said tried not to sound annoyed. We have left that place. We have left that place, like some shifts. That doesn't mean we have no connection, right? They are not like me, Nadia says. You haven't met them. I don't need to. She released a long tap breath. Here we have our own room. Room, space, a little in that manner, a little space. And that space, we, being humans, need to continue to provide them. So new spaces that Zia Ahmed talked about, we need to create that. We need to understand that Brexit or Trump travel ban, that won't be resolving the problem. It is rather fueling the fire. They are already in traumas. They have flown away from traumas. And once again, if that extreme vetting process, if you study about like travel ban policies, extreme vetting, when already you are in trauma and psychological condition, when you'd be there, when you'd be asked so many questions, irrelevant, that cause more trauma, that cause more psychological conflicts. So that is not the solution. If the people, the human rights, what you say, the organizations or human rights speakers want really humanity to bring back, then we need to provide little spaces to them. That is what I would. There is a chance, always. If the negativity could prevail all the way, the positivity we need to have faith in positivity too. Be optimist, be activist. I always say, like there are a small percentage of the people who are creating war, like they want to be in power. They were in past, but they want to be in power through radicalizing people. They get their second opinion, and then they are fighting for getting that power, snatching that power. Some are in struggle to consistently remain in power. So both in their like new colonialism and fundamentalism or Islamism or that, in between that, we need to create space for humanism too. For everyone. Everyone should have. And most of the people, majority of the humankinds, want that peace. But those are negative powers are more active. We need to be active. We need to be optimistic. So when we be, but the optimistic people or the peaceful people are quiet. That silence is actually creating problem. Because everyone thinks, what can I do? And that reminds me the story I read in my childhood when I was 6 or 7, the short story that was, there was in a desert and there was no water in the desert and everyone was looking for, it was hot summer, 50 plus temperature and no water at all. And the drops in the clouds were thinking, what can I do to quench the thirst of these animals or human beings or down there on the earth? And then one drop dared. He said, okay, even if I couldn't do anything, I could wet the lips of one. Right? So he came down and then others followed and it rained and it quenched the thirst. So is what we need to create space, to start something to do. We just talk about humanity and humanism. We need to do something for it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our speakers. Thanks very much.